Hey guys, you are once again welcome to my channel. So this is the continuation of our female pant trouser drafting. So if you have not watched the part 1 of this particular video, kindly check in the description box below or click on the card that is showing on your right hand of your screen now and go and watch the part 1 of this particular video. If you are new to my channel, you are warmly welcome. Thank you for stopping by, and if you find this video interesting, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be notified immediately. Without further talking, let's get into the video. So guys, this is the continuation of our female pants trouser drafting. So I have already laid my pattern paper for our back panel, and I have ruled a borderline of 3 inches on the upper side and 3.5 inches on the side seam. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure I place my waistline at the exact line on my waistline for my back panel. Remember when we were cutting the front pattern, I told you not to cut out the bulgy allowance that we did for the front. So I'm going to tape it down and use the front to draft the back panel. Okay, so after taping it, I'm going to extend my horizontal lines, which is my hip line, my crotch line, my knee line, and my full length line. Okay, now after marking those lines on my crotch line, I will come to my center front line and I will mark 1 inch inward. Now I'll go to the waistline and I'll mark 2 inches inward, as you can see me doing, starting from my center front. And then the center front line, I'm going to trace it down to my back panel paper. Okay, so after that, I'm going to shift my front panel away so that it will enable me to trace my line at the back panel. As you can see me, I'm connecting my crotch line on my back panel. After that, I'm going to punch through my 1 inch mark that I did inward, and then I'm going to check whether if it is 1 inch mark at the back panel, and then I'm going to connect that 1 inch to my 2 inches I did on my waistline, and I'll extend that line with a slant upward. Okay, you can see what I have done there. Now on my center back at my waistline, let me explain something. When the person you are sewing for has a big butt, you can go up by at least 2 inches, okay, or 2.5. But if the person is slim and then does not have big butt, you can do between 1.5 and 2 inches. Okay, so that is it. So in my own case, I mark 2 inches because the person I'm sewing for is quite slim, but her butt is a little bit big. So after marking that 2 inches, I'm going to extend my waistline mark, and then after extending my waistline mark, the measurement I did for my waistline at the front, I'm going to interpret it at the back panel as well. But before I will do that, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch from my original waistline. Remember when we were drafting the front panel, I came up by 1/2 inch. So after that mark, I'm going to connect that line to my front panel 1/2 inch mark. So that is going to be our new waistline. Okay, so I'm going to the measurement I did for my front panel by dividing my width by 2 and adding 1 inch for that allowance. The 8.5 I get there, I'm going to use it and mark on my new waistline for the back panel, and then I'm going to connect my 2 inches hip or back extension to my new waistline mark. Okay, that is it right there. I hope you understand this part. So after that, I'm going to shift my front panel, and then I'm going to connect my hip line. Okay, I'm going to mark my hip line. So on my hip line, from that slant line we just drew, I'm going to divide my hip by 4, which gives me 9.75, and then I'm going to mark it outwardly. All right, so after marking that, I'm going to use my hip curve to connect from my new waistline for the back panel to my hip line. Okay, so guys, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and let's continue. All right, so the measurement I have on my hip extension, I'm going to take it down to my crotch line for the back, and mark it right there. Okay, so now let's go to our front extension for the back. You remember on our front panel we divided our hip by 20. Okay, now on our back panel we are going to divide our hip by 10. Put this formula in your head carefully. We are going to divide the hip, which is 39 divided by 10 for the back, but for the front you will divide the hip divided by 20. All right, put that in your head. All right, the reason I repeat is that it's not all the time you will go to the video to check, so put that in your head. All right, so after dividing mine I get 3.9, so I approximate it to 4 inches. Okay, so I mark my 4 inches from my slanted line outwardly, and then I mark it right there. Now on my hip line at the back panel I went out by half of an inch and used my French curve to connect my 4 inches back extension through the half-inch mark I mark on the hip line, so that I will get a curve right there, and then blend it with my French curve to my slanted line I did for the back. You can see now we are getting our seat or our crotch back line and the curve. You can see how beautiful it looks. So guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, kindly do so by now and turn on the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video you will be notified immediately. Now let's continue. Now I will come down to the knee line and I'm going to extend it by half of an inch, and I will do the same for the inner seam, and then go down to the full length hem width, and then I will extend it by half of an inch as well, and then I will do the marking on both sides for the back panel. After that I'm going to connect my dots together like this. You can see me doing, guys. So this is it. So after doing this mark, I want you to look at this place very carefully. For me not to confuse you with my lines, I'm going to clean my original border line that I drew so that it will enable you to see it clearly. Okay, now let's continue. So now I'm going to use my French curve on the inseam, the 4-inch mark that we extended. I'm going to connect it beautifully like this for my back panel inseam. I don't know what really happened. My pencil gets broken whenever I'm doing the inseam. I don't really know. So now after that I will come to the outer seam. Now look at the way I put my French curve. I turn it upside down so that it's going to give me a perfect shape. Okay, so when I put it, this is how it's going to be, and I will mark my line. After that I'm going to connect my crotch line mark to my hip line. All right, so you can see we are done with our drafting of our female trouser pattern. Okay, so now that we are done with our drafting, don't forget that there is a dart at the back as well. Okay, there's going to be a dart that will bring the protruding for the buttock at the back of the trouser. So let me clean some lines so that it will enable me to do what I'm doing, and it will be visible for you to see it clearly as well. So the 8.5 inches we have at the back waistline, we are going to divide it by 2, and then we'll mark it. We'll come down and then we'll mark it the same measurement once again using the back slanted line. Okay, and then the depth of our back dart is going to be 5.5 inches. Okay, the front is 4.5 while the back is 5.5, and then we are going to outtake our dart by dividing the 1 inch on both sides of our dart line, and then we will connect it to the depth of our dart. Now we are done with our drafting, guys. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video you'll be notified immediately. Don't forget to like our video and then share this video to your loved ones as usual. Okay, now we are done with our drafting. You can see everything is perfect. Now let me explain this. If you are going to transfer this pattern to your paper is when you are going to add an allowances to it. For the inseam, you can add from 1/4 of an inch to 1 inch. There's no problem. But on the side, it's a must you add 1/2 of an inch. Put it in mind on both panels, the front panel and the back panel. On the side, you put 1/2 of an inch, but on the inseam, you can put anything from 1/4 of an inch, 0.5, 0.75 or 1 inch, so that you will have enough seam allowance from the inside for further purposes, because the shape of a woman changes as time goes on, so that it will not be a problem to you. This is just a bypass instruction, so put that in mind. So now that we have all understand how female bodies work, we are going to do the band. Okay, so before we do the band, from the center back on my back panel, I'm going to add at least 1 inch on the waistline and 0.75 downwards the way I did. Okay, this is going to serve as my future seam allowance. This is how I do it. You know, with matured clothing and tutorials, we don't hide anything from you. So look at the way I did this particular place very carefully. All right, so that is it for you. All right, and I'm going to curve it down to my crotch extension mark. Okay, so that is it. But remember, when you are stitching, you are going to stitch on the original line like this. Okay, not the extension or the allowance I just did. Okay, so let me blend my waistline to it. Okay, so with that back, you are not going to have any problem right there. So now to the band, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to cut out the band, but I want to show you how to get a perfect band for a trouser that will not see any bulginess at the back. So in my own case, my band, I'm going to use 2 inches. So I will go from the waistline 2 inches downwards, and I will mark it like the way I'm marking. Okay, so you can extend that 2 inches to the future seam allowance that I did right there, and connect my 2 inches, not through the darts, okay, but side of the darts, like the way I'm doing. Just be careful on this particular side, because afterwards I'm going to show you how to do the band. Now, after I have marked my lines like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to indicate where I'm going to join together the 2 parts together. So I put an arrow showing that this part and this part are the place I'm going to join together. And also at the upper side of the band, I put U, which stands for the upper side, okay, on both sides, so that I can, after cutting the dart through, I can connect the pattern for the band together. Okay, now I believe you understand this part. So on the front panel, I'm going to now cut out the 1/2 inch that I told you to reserve. Okay, on the front panel too, I'm going to draft my band. Okay, so I'm going to use from my waistline, I will come down by 2 inches as I did for the back panel. Everything that I did for the back panel, I will do the same for my front panel as well, and connect my lines. Guys, if you find this video helpful, why don't you click on the like button to give this video a like, so that this video will reach everybody who is interested in developing their skills. With matured, it is possible. Okay, so guys, this is it. So after I have done my markings, I will now close my dart like this. You can see what I'm doing right there. Okay, so if I close my dart, this is how it's going to be. So if I want to separate my band, I'm going to cut through that line. Okay, and then later I will add my allowance on the waistline and the band line, and then I'll connect it together. Okay, so it's the same way you are going to do for the back panel as well. Okay, now I'm going to cut out my back panel so that it will enable me to fold my darts. And if you want to cut your waistband, you fold it. Okay, you see the way I'm doing it. You can see after folding it, you can see it has protruded, and it has created a room for the buttock to stay in. Okay, all right, so if you want to cut out the band, let me do an illustration for you to understand. Okay, if you want to cut out the band, what you are going to do is you will tape it together by after folding your darts, then you cut it through like this. But in my own case, I'm not going to cut the dart out because I'm going to need a full dart for my pants. So if you find this video helpful, kindly subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll be notified immediately. And also don't forget to share this video and give us a thumbs up to help the algorithm to make this video reach anyone who is interested in upgrading their fashion skills. So guys, don't forget to also leave your comments in the comment section. Thank you so much for being with us. See you in the next one. Bye.